Bam! It's Tuesday. It's 7 o'clock. It's That's Cool Drink. It's such a good time, man. Just got off a sick summer. It was so much fun. Man, it was awesome. Really pretty short drives, to be 100% honest with you. And they're kind of unapologetically short drives. They don't mind that. We're about to be on one of the harder ones. We're going to be. Oh, my hat's all. Not only is it flat brim, it's crooked. Can't back. But unapologetically short drives, we do kind of unapologetically long drives. So it's going to be a big change for me. Obviously, I did some of the broadcast type stuff with the Freedom Plus crew, hired by Sick. So Tom paid me, but worked with these cats, and it was so much fun, man. I had a blast. Hung out with some of the Rocky Mountain Race Week regular type folks. So Trevor Brandon hanging out there, and I'm sitting in a chair drinking an ice cold water, which was great. Learning a little bit more about this stuff. I need to stand on the uphill side of a dude that's 6'4" or bigger. I still look shrimpy, but I don't look that shrimpy. So I'm learning the tricks of the trade of this stuff a little bit, and it's been fun, man. It's been really fun. So, Mr. Havlick, what's going on? Hey, there's Mr. Flint himself right there. Thanks for tuning in a little bit, dude. Appreciate it. But yeah, dude, it was so much fun. But week off, that is cool. Bam. Get one in real quick. Bam. Tuesday night, 5 days. That's right, Clay. 5 days. We're going to be on Rocky Mountain Race Week. It is going to be psycho. Super duper fun. Ron Connor's in the house. Ron, you'll see running the lanes, and that dude is awesome as well. But anyway, this is the week in between. It's sort of the calm before the storm. Working on the Cadillac, just getting it ready to do brand new 383 iron block motor in that thing. It had 525 miles on break-in. I took it all apart, checked it out. Everything looks great with that. I think we're going to drive it to Tulsa, mainly because I really like 20 miles a gallon, and I like being able to drive real effing fast. And Danny's got a good story about that. We'll talk about that pretty soon. But throw it in 6th gear, 0.5 overdrive, takes the 410 gears down to a 205, and we're cruising, baby. It's super awesome. Derek Putnam's joining in. Rocky Mountain Race Week is going to be sick. This is going to be cool. Sick the Mag is a brand new sponsor on Rocky Mountain Race Week, which is super cool. Kind of melding of the minds, if you will. Two competing events, one getting help from the other. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. That you can tell there's no actual competition involved with that. Cool thing with that is Luke, the editor of Sick the Mag, is going to possibly either rent a Challenger and bring out to do battle in the 14.0 class, or fly to Detroit and pick up the orange Sick the Mag. I believe it's a Challenger as well, but I think it's a Hellcat. So it'll probably be in the quicker class than that. So we will check that out. Dude, Josh, when you're ready, let's go, baby. Josh has got a twin turbo stick shift Fox Mustang that has a twin turbo Coyote motor in it as well. So Josh is a gangster. I'm actually on his profile picture looking like a moron. He's one of the movers and shakers in the Freedom Plus team, and I've also called some of his passes at the Mod Nationals. So we're going to get you in a drag and drive soon, my friend. Absolutely. And dude, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. This has been so much fun. But that said, that's enough with me. Rocky Mountain Race Week is coming up very, very soon. We'll have so much more coming on. I may have something coming soon with Matt before we get that knocked out. Neil, can't wait to see you either, man. Bang Shift is going to be hosting that as well on the live stream. I'll be on the mic all week. You'll hear a lot more of Chad this go round as well, and lots of newness coming up from the Bang Shift folks. So all the live stream on Bang Shift, you'll hear me on the mic all week long. You're sorry, or I'm you're welcome, or I'm sorry. Wow, I got that. Strike it, reverse it, bring it back around. That said, guys, tonight's going to be sweet. I got Danny and I got Makayla. Danny Romanski, 67 Chevelle. It's a turbo LS, twin turbo LS deal, I believe. And we'll bring him in here and talk to him about it. But that car is super duper nice, and I guarantee it's for sale. So he's always got something for sale. So if you got the cash-ish, we will talk about it tonight, and you can see it do a work next week. And I've got Makayla Marietta. Makayla won my very first Young Gun Award, which is a deal I do out of my own pocket. I beg, borrow, and steal money as we go. I start with $250 of my own dollars, and I have special stickers made for young guns and for rookies. Every rookie gets an R. Every young gun gets a young gun. And previous year's winners choose next year's winners. And it's cool. It's a handle, kind of hand off of the torch. It's a good way to get, the youngins involved in this and give them something that they can win on one of these things, even if they are not, in competition necessarily. We'll talk to Makayla, and I think she made more money than most of the class winners when both of the times I think she won. And maybe the second time was maybe not, but it's kind of dwindled a little bit, which is what it is. But that said, without further ado, Ms. Makayla Marietta, Mr. Danny Romanski, welcome you guys to That's Cool Drink.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
Heck yeah. This is going to be super cool. Thank you guys for joining, and I'm going to grab one real quick. Man. Doug Floyd was he was my camera guy all the time during Six Summer. That dude is gangster. So thanks for tuning in, Doug, from Florida. But anyway, dude, Rocky Mountain Race Week.
It's here.
We're going in like days. Are you guys ready? And what are you bringing?
Well, as you can see back here, still working on a Chevelle. It's about ready. Just a few small minor changes and a few small setbacks, kind of like every year. On the other side of the car, we got the nasty little third gen. It's always ready. It's a gangster car. You fire it up, it never skips a beat. And I think you're ready, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So Old Reliable's ready to go. What classes are you bringing it back in the hot rod class, Danny?
Yeah, so I'll be returning back to the hot rod class in this one again, and hopefully see if we can place at the top end of things this year again, and hopefully we have some good luck at some new tracks, and super excited to kind of be down in some areas that we've never been before and see how she runs.
Heck yeah. Makayla, is this going to be your furthest tracks from home? I believe so, right?
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
This is going to be a super cool experience for you because your car's naturally aspirated, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We get low this year. Ennis, Texas is probably our lowest track, I believe, and it's going to be fast, and you're going to love it. That is actually, to be 100% honest with you, what ruined me to put a supercharger on my car. I took my car to Drag Week NA in 2014 and nearly wrecked it getting on the highway, going to dinner, our first time driving it down there because I'm used to getting on the highway in Denver.
Yeah.
Got down there, pushed the gas, and it went sideways. And it was good. It was good times. It was a good little practice run. And I came back home and I was flooring it and going, is that it? Like, that's all it's got?
Like scooting in the seat. Like, I know it's got more.
Right, exactly. So with an NA car, that's you can just turn in a little extra boost, throw a little extra on top, and Makayla and I, because we're stupid, we get what we get. So all of a sudden, in a week, you're going to get a lot more. So you're in for it.
Yeah, no, it'll be pretty awesome to see what that car does down there and stuff like that. It gave us a surprise. She won her high school class last year and raced in the Race of Champions in Topeka. And around here we're 12 teens. High school has to stay around the 12-second mark, for the rules. And I think we went out there and went 1140 out there at Topeka and had to unhook secondaries, and it was just a whole nother animal down there, and she had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, you got a little taste of it, but like I said, I understand how that works, because you'll go back home and then you're going to be like opening the mail order catalogs and like, okay, like talk to me about nitrous, Dad.
Well, we got a nitrous bottle underneath the workbench just in case we need it one day. So it's
Heck
built for us.
yes.
We just haven't got around to it yet.
It happens. It happens,
does.
man. And yes, Anthony, always with the gold can. I'm a Coors Banquet man over here. It's only made in one brewery in the entire world, and it's right up the street from where I grew up. So let's get into some history with you guys. So, Danny, I met you. We were either buying or selling parts.
Yep.
And whatever, I don't know whatever. We sold some stuff, and
Yep.
and I remember your transaction super well, because it was like we showed up, no haggling. Here's your money. Here's your parts. Talk to you later. And there's a little local Facebook group for the Colorado drag racers, and I think that's where we sort of hooked up on that deal. And I made a post right after that, and I said, I want to thank this like group of people, because like I've never been threatened with murder. Like these people know how to like actually do business, because like you do it right. And then all of a sudden it was just like, hey, I'm going to be friends with this dude, and then bang, we're racing together. I mean, next thing you know.
Absolutely, yeah. I was building at the time. I had a 65 Rambler American that had an LS in it and a 4L60, and you had a bunch of parts for sale. And my dad and I were coming back from the Tri-State Swap Meet, and I think
that's right.
Dave and Buster's.
Dave and Buster's. Yep.
Yeah, we met up, and I think your comment after is thanks for not murdering me. We shook hands and walked away. So I mean, it was a good transaction, and whatnot. But yeah, no, it's crazy how things come full circle like that, and you wind up something so small of swapping converters or paying for things, and years later where you kind of end up with people. So
yeah, absolutely, and you've got a long history of drag racing, and your family does too. Like, I mean, the Romanski name, especially Pueblo and Greater Pueblo area, is wide and far. But tell us a bit about the family. Tell us a bit about the cars, and what brought you to, ultimately the '67 Chevelle behind you. But I mean, really, into racing on the whole.
Yeah, well, so it goes way back. All this kind of goes to my father, Vince. I was 5 years old, and I got stuffed in a quarter midget in Pueblo, and I started racing quarter midgets from the time I was about 5 years old to about 7 or 8. And then kind of after that, started to venture into some drag racing. My dad's he's always had some cool cars. I don't think I can count on a piece of paper how many different hot rods and cars, trucks, throughout the years. Half the time he buys them and they're sold before he even gets them home. But it was always cool because he'd pick something up real cool, and as a kid we'd go out to the drag strip and get to make passes and whatnot, or get to watch Linear Henry and some of those guys with the blown alcohol cars, and Greg Orr and the Bad Outlaw Door Slammers, and just super cool things to see, and just I grew up with that. Started working on all my own stuff, and everything that I've learned and stuff was from him and whatnot, and ultimately just kind of kept going. As some people say, the sickness just kind of stays with you, and whether it's buying something or selling something, which I have bought and sold a lot of cars in my life and raced them and whatnot, but it's kind of one of those weird deals. People have their favorite car, and they have to have a GT 500 Mustang, or they need a K code Ford, or any kind of Mopar and whatnot. And my dad, when I was a young kid, had a really cool 66 Chevelle that had a big block and a 4-speed, and
Nice.
I'm cruising around with him, and through all the different cars that I've had, I tried to get into race week probably starting from 2016, and I had a car every year, but I either sold it or it wasn't running, give or take. And
Right.
finally was able to venture out and, in this car in 2020 with my dad. So that was super cool. And, my family was all involved. And, that's kind of how I, continue to roll it in. And then about, she was 14 years old. We were out at the track during, I think, the October. Pueblo puts on a real cool, and, shout out to Pueblo Motorsports Park and Donnie and those guys. They put out a really cool in October, like it's a Halloween race, and tons
Nice.
of cars and stuff. Well, I always have a mishap and stuff like that at the end of the year, and ended up hurting some stuff. And Makayla was, she's like, well, what if I wanted to kind of do some of this stuff? And that's kind of what got her rolling and stuff like that. We started to search for a car right then and there. So
Nice. So Makayla, I mean, 14, watching this kind of all go down, and you're digging on this stuff, right? And what makes you decide, like, A, I want to be involved, and then again, B, like, why the third gen? Why this car?
Honestly, we were scrolling through Facebook, and that car, I think it was sent to Dan, and I saw it, and it was just kind of like one of those things. I looked at it, and I immediately wanted the car, and I had two options. I either had this car to go look at, or a yellow one that was a roller. It was a third gen as well. And we went and looked at the red one that I have now, and I saw it, and we brought it home that night. It just was the only car that I wanted. I had my mind set on that one.
she did too. I mean,
So at what point? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Danny.
Oh yeah, no, of course, I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm thinking, like, we get to find cars. Like, I'm on Marketplace, my dad's looking, and thankfully my better half, Sarah, bless her heart, she's like, this is her car, let her pick. And like, there was a Comet Caliente for sale that was a roller. I'm like, oh, we got parts here, we know this. And I'm like, no offense to the Ford guys, it is a Ford, but then there was,
I mean, we all got to make that
Chevelle.
mistake once in a while.
Exactly, there were Chevelles, a couple Vegas. I'm like, oh my gosh, all the parts and all the cool stuff we can do. And then she's like, well, let's go look at this third gen. And I'm like, well, that's not an old car. And I'm like, to me, it's not old, And then to turn around and think, I'm like, well, I guess to her, it is, an older car and stuff. So
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Like, what year were you born, Makayla?
2006.
2006, and that car's like 86,
88.
88. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's kind of the same. Like, I was born in 79. A 69 car, 73 car. That's the same sort of spread. So that's an old car for her, and it's weird for us to say that because people drove those in high school and they were brand new. But like, whatever, it's an old car to her, and like, it's still dinosaur stuff too, right? Like, it's got a carburetor and everything.
Yeah. It was I think it was an original, like LT1 car, or not a LT1, but like a, I don't know, tuned Ford or a TBI.
Right. Right. It was injected at some point.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, now, I mean, it's got a nasty little 406 small block in it, and it handles business for sure. She can wheel the car like no other, so that's a cool thing. So.
And I think that's cool because Makayla, like, no one your age knows what the inside of a carburetor looks like. I mean, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm just saying, like, and a bunch of people, under 21 have never even seen one. Even under 25 has never even everything they've touched has been fuel injected. So, like, it's got to be a cool deal for you to be like, I can take this thing apart and put jets in it, and I know what the inside is supposed to look like, and I know what it looks like. And when like Armageddon comes around, like, you can put a carburetor on something and drive it, and you'll be that person. Like, you'll be saved. You'll see.
Yeah.
In the zombie apocalypse, you will be a very, very important woman.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And tell us about the drivetrains. I know you said the third gen's got a 406. Walk us through all that one, and then let's swing back around to the Chevelle and tell us all about it.
Yeah, you want to talk about your car, or do you want me to? Oh, so this is a funny story. So when we did this, and Sarah will attest to this. So this all started out as we'll just build a high school car. So I'm thinking when we bought the car, it had supposedly it was a 383 stroker, which we all know, everybody,
Everyone's got a 383 stroker,
100%,
right?
yeah, jumping pop cans, squealing tires in every gear. Well, we got the car, it was running and driving, and all we were going to do was we were going to strip it down. And, as a 14-year-old girl, it was December. We were out in the driveway, and we did it old school, like when I was taught. I mean, cold outside, we had a space heater. We pulled motor trans when there was probably a foot of snow on the ground, and we were just going to freshen it. So my wife's like, well, what's your plan? And I'm like, well, a 13-second car or so, maybe 14s, 15s, just something for her to get her feet.
Yeah, something, whatever. Turn the key and it goes room. Like, who
yeah,
cares?
100%. Well, then, that kind of led into, we got the motor apart, and it was just, it was junk. The cam was, starting to go bad. Oil pump gears were starting to, get chipped off. I mean, it just terrible deal. So, my dad, he has a nickname, Dr. Vinny, and he builds tons of race engines for people, and had a ton of stuff. And he's like, well, I got these 400s sitting here, and we'll grab a rotating assembly and some nice aluminum heads. And he always has small block parts, and so we tossed together. At that time, it was a 406 with some metal block heads and aluminum intake, and it had a turbo 350 in it where we left alone. She foot braked the car. And, it's my favorite and kind of a, very heartfelt deal. She made her first pass, and I got to be with her. And I told her, I said, you pull up to the light. I don't care if you light both bulbs. I don't care what you do. I'll do the shifting, you do the driving. And I'll never forget it my entire life that I don't even think we made it to the 1,000-foot mark. She lit off the gas and looked at me, and she's like, I did it. And, and I'm like, you got to keep going. Like, keep going.
You haven't finished yet.
Exactly. So, then after that, I think your first pass, all out pass by yourself was a 1350 something. So
that's spicy for your first pass ever.
Yeah. So I got a little chatting, from Mama Bear on that one, because it wasn't supposed to go that fast and whatnot. And I'm like, well, we can try to squeeze out a little bit more. And she stayed around the 13.0s that first time, first time out. So, but the car handles great. I mean, we built it. It was super humbling for me because I grew up around that stuff with my dad, and with all the Holley EFIs and Haltex and turbos and superchargers and stuff. Building a naturally aspirated small block Chevy, with a carburetor, MSD stuff was like, this is
turbo
nice. 350. Exactly.
This is basic. I mean, this is back to the bone. Old school.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it could have been in any chassis. Anything from a 55 Chevy to, what you have. It didn't matter because you had this cool old school deal you built in the driveway with your kid to drive.
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing had a stock rear end, 290 gears. I mean, it was a pooch coming out of the hole. And but it ran good and it was consistent. And much as I hate to admit, she is pretty deadly on the tree. So, no matter what, she's usually treeing somebody. And then of course, that led into, some upgrades, and, now it's a fully forged, small block. We did go with some, of the new, I think they're not Flotex there. I apologize. I can't remember off the top of my head. They are, oh man, they're like the black, not Black Raider, but I'll think of it and come back to it. But they're a brand new set of heads that came out. They're Project X heads.
Oh, cool.
We did have, I just can't remember the brand right off the top of my head. We ended up getting a hold of Patrick from Pro Systems, had a custom built, 850 built for her and stuff like that. Just kind of
cool.
Making sure everything goes good. But it's it's just a hydraulic roller, just a nice little street motor, 91 pump gas, and it cruises anywhere, and it's deadly. It's a deadly car for
it's a consistent car, and I mean, Makayla, you won a Wally with that car. Like you're one of those. Like, you not only have you won my young gun twice, you had to remind me that you won it twice. I thought you did, but you've done that. You've got a Wally.
Mhm.
Like, I think at the time you were the youngest Rocky Mountain Race Week competitor
Yeah.
at 15, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like a lot of accolades going on here. Like, you're how old a young lady are you today?
I'm 18 now.
18.
Yeah.
Pro Max, says Vince Rui.
There
Or
they are.
Vince
That's my
Romanski.
dad.
Sorry.
Thanks for reminding me, Dad. Yeah, Pro Max.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's the Vince Rui, Vince Romanski. It's all the same guy. Nice. And what class do you think you're you're racing in here this coming up week?
Honestly, I'm not sure yet because down here I can run 12 rows, and so up there I don't know if I'll be like mid 11s or where I'll exactly be. More than likely, I'm probably gonna have to end up slowing down the car to fit in probably the 12 row class, I would imagine, but I'm honestly not sure exactly where it'll fall.
Yeah. It doesn't have a bar in it.
Well, yeah, you got a cage in it.
Oh yeah, it does. Sorry.
Oh, you got a bar. Okay, yeah. So if it's got the stank, I mean, you can put it in the 11.0 class if it'll do it. You'll see soon because like yes, you've experienced it a bit, but now you got years under your belt, and that motor's maybe ready to unleash a little extra violence. So who knows if it goes like 11:20 the first day? Be like, man, do you want to sandbag 8/10, or do you want to try to figure out 2?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'll have to play that in your head and see what happens when it comes around to Sunday there.
Yeah.
Danny, talk to us about the Chevelle.
Oh man.
And how much for it? Because I know it's for sale.
Everything's for sale. My wife has grown quite attached, so somebody might have to fight her off for it because
Right.
Or not, Honey Boo Boo back here is one of her favorites. So
that's right.
But yeah, no, it's just a good old plain Jane '67 Malibu. I got it on a trade deal. I had a '56 Chevy, that I had, and I met a gentleman, and he was kind of getting rid of the car, and we made a trade deal, and it started off as just a plain Jane, LS with an old Turbonetics turbo, bench seat car, and of course, kind of just me with everything else. It went, full bore. Some help, with cam stuff and engine stuff from you years ago. James Shower with High Speed Media, or Build Tune Race.
Yep.
He's like, well, you can always slap an S480 on it, and do this and add a Holly, and then it spiraled from there. So it's just a 6-liter LS base deal. It is a single S480 on it. Turbo 400 car. It does have 9-inch Ford all TRZ suspension on it. It is a heavy pig still. It's 3,845 pounds with me in it. Going across the scales at Vandermeer. So
wow.
Yeah, so was lucky last year. I think I think the quickest I did was a 930 at 145 or 147. So this year,
I had no idea that car was that heavy.
Yeah.
930s. What mile an hour does it run?
I think it was 930. I want to say 146, 147.
Man, that thing's making some steam for that kind of weight. That's super impressive.
Right. Yeah, and Corey Thompson, probably one of the baddest guys on the planet or drag and drive stuff. Super dear friend. Him and I always just go rounds with how heavy each other's cars are, and if nobody has heard of Corey Thompson, I suggest you look up his stuff. He has one of the most pristine Chevelles. Super fast car, 740s.
Right.
36.
I need to have him on.
Yeah.
Just to pick his brain.
Yeah.
But it's it's another 67 Chevelle. It is it's fully certified gangster. That car is
100%.
badass. So the hot rod class doesn't require, or it doesn't allow beadlock wheels.
Right.
So he's got old school OG like 15x8 Krager Pro Stars without even rim screws.
No.
He glues the wheels to the tires, and that thing goes like it's like 730s and 40s.
Yeah. I think I want to say he's ran on a radial as well. Like he's
right. right.
flat out, yeah, flying.
It's that dude. Yeah, yeah, that dude is full gangster, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna have him on someday. Just like I said, I
yeah,
just need to pick his brain. Something that's kind of cool that most people don't know is he was his unit in the Navy was the Ghost Riders. If you've
yes,
watched the movie Top Gun, Ghost Riders is their call sign. He worked with the Top Gun unit in the Navy, and I'm not sure exactly what he did. He wasn't a pilot, but he did work with them cats, and like
right,
he's got to have some like life stories,
right. Oh, absolutely. Well,
and on
and
top of that, like the nicest dude on the planet,
100%.
like the nicest dude.
And
Yeah,
the cool thing is my wife makes fun of me because we're friends with so many cool people in this drag and drive deal, and I played in high school and stuff like that, and I was a huge baseball kid. Played a ton of baseball from the time I was a kid, and then to go out there and see Clint out there racing his
Clint
Camaro.
Sadowski.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bad man. And I'm like, the kid in me wants to bring a baseball glove and throw a few, throw
yeah,
a few balls.
exactly. Like, will you play catch with me, dude?
Yeah,
Like, I've never played catch
exactly.
with a dude in the bigs before.
Right. Or like Corey, him and I are super good friends, and we chat back and forth. And there's a cool picture that I have that whatnot that he's pushing Makayla's car, and in the pits, and I'm like, dude, that's Corey Thompson. Like, he's one of the fastest guys on the property, and he's pushing your car in the lanes. Like, that's awesome.
Right.
And
Like you're the
you know,
luckiest kid in the whole
yeah,
place, and you don't even know it yet.
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, and there's so many, like the hot rod class, and I just a little biased because I've ran it every single time, but you know, it's competitive, and there's some wicked crazy cars, like
Yes, there are.
Brandon Tapp's
I mean,
vet
that's
really flies.
yeah. The hot rod class is yeah. It has got
Yeah.
some heavy hitting, and then
Yeah.
when we bring them down with gassers,
Oh,
because then you get
absolutely.
dudes like Rob Lipinski, and even though you're not in the
Yeah.
same class, you might be running down the same track with that cat, and like,
Yeah.
dude, that
Yeah.
dude's a. I mean, he just chimed in. That dude's a certified absolute badass gangster. I mean, allegedly put it in the ditch like weeks before Rocky Mountain Race Week or Race Week, doing some, Mexico testing or street racing or
Yeah.
whatever, man. And, fixes it enough to bring it out and still does the trunk open, variable arrow, making
Yep.
it, yeah, that's gotta be a fun deal to run with like that level of dude and or like you might want, wind up next to Reggie Moore, and
Yeah.
that dude is bound to flip that car straight over in the
Yeah.
lane next to you. And I mean, talk about being the second prettiest girl at the dance. I mean,
Right.
unfortunately, every camera is pointed at his stuff while you're in the next lane cranking
Yeah.
off some low nines, but
Right.
you can see his drive shaft swinging around.
Yeah,
So
no, and that's what's he's so awesome. Like the hot rod gasser crew, Chris Paget, his 4 door, wagon, like things nuts, and
yep,
you know, um, Daryl Stutzman and his Ford pickup, just all those guys, that Walter Doyle in Florida with his '66, like,
yeah,
it's crazy the cars that are in there, and I mean it goes for every class, I mean, we can't even get started in the ultimate radials and those guys because they flat out fly, and of course the unlimited guys, but it's a great group of cars and a great group of people, and you learn a lot from each other because I'm like, hey, I got the same car as you. How come I'm not going fast? And whatnot. And and the cool
right.
thing is, it's always been a cool deal. They swap stories. They tell you, hey, this is what I do. This is what we need to do, or this is what we should do. And over the years, it's helped out quite a bit. So hopefully this year we can hopefully if I can get an 899 somewhere, I'll be happy as can
I
be.
mean, tickle pink, right? Right.
Absolutely.
Keep a little extra in the scramble,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if we end up somewhere where it's like it's just going to be perfect, like
Right.
just lay it down and make it happen.
Yeah. Right.
So
Absolutely.
Makayla, I got to know, like, you go off to summer from school, and all your friends are doing whatever they're doing, and you spend a week on the road racing your car and being an absolute like certified badass, and then you go back to school. What is it like telling your friends like, what'd you do all summer? And they're like, well, I did this and I played some video games and I got real good at Minecraft and I hung out with my, whatever, my grandparents and drove their golf cart and it was super cool. And you were like, yeah, I drove 100 mile an hour in my car and hung out with like dudes like Matt Frost and, you know, whoever, insert your perfect. I mean, what is that like going back to school and having people be like, wait, you're a race car driver?
It's a little different, yeah. I mean, like when you get back to school and you have like your new classes and you're like introducing each other and things like that, and they're always like, "What'd you do over the summer?" And so I'd say it, and it's just funny though because you can see everybody just look back, turn at you, and stare at you, and they're a little confused. And then you have the questions of like, "You do that," or "You don't look like you would do that," or like, "You actually do that." Like it's just everybody's mind blown about it. And I mean, it's funny to me because I hear it so much all the time now that it just like I laugh about it because it's entertaining. But when people are like, I didn't know that or anything like that, it's definitely different though. It's a different kind of feeling.
Yeah, for sure. And like Stevie gets that a lot at work. Like she works in an OR and she's just a pretty little girl and you're just like this pretty little girl and like she gets it a ton. They're just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You drag race? And she's like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
no big. I'm off next week because I'm gonna be drag racing. And they're like, I thought you were like 14. Like you drag race? And
Yeah,
she's 27. She'll be 28 very soon. So
yeah,
yeah, it's like it's a wild deal when people find out like, wait, when you're not here learning trigonometry or whatever the hell class you're in, like you're out there smashing gears and beating up on boys. Like that's got to be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Um, Danny, tell us what it was like bringing your family into this world. Like especially Makayla, since I have her on, but like I know your whole family hangs out and does this stuff with you. Like it is like an entire family sport for you guys. So
yeah.
what's it like hanging out with
Oh,
your people and being able to do this racing nonsense?
it's amazing. Like it's something that I've always wanted. I was blessed to meet Sarah and marry her, and I gained two beautiful daughters, and then we ended up welcoming our youngest into our lives a couple years ago. And the funny thing is she our youngest Adeline was I think only 25 weeks old. My wife was 25 weeks pregnant when she went on her first race week, and whatnot. And, I was a little apprehensive of that. I'm like, don't, she's my co-pilot. I'm like, don't do anything, just hang back
Right, right.
and whatnot. And I think we slung a belt on the outside of Nebraska or Kansas. I wasn't really sure. And I'm thinking, it's hot. Let's wait till it cools down. Nope, not my wife. She grabbed the mat. She's like, get underneath the car, grab the belt, grab another one. And, we were wrenching away.
Right.
And
Right. She's like, I'm not just gonna stand here. Let's go. I can put a belt
yeah,
on.
yeah, no, and just having them, my mother and father-in-law are a super huge part. Her papa, John, one hell of a mechanic and supporter, and he's her co-pilot. He got to make quite a bit of passes that first year with her because she couldn't, technically kind of drive or race and stuff like that without him, and he had a blast. And Pam always is always taking care of the family. And our middle daughter Amelia, she's always along for the ride and having
Right.
fun. Usually on the scooter, getting snacks. Absolutely kills walking tacos.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, and then my dad's always there at the track, and somebody to lean on with. Especially with her car, like, hey, I'm looking at plugs, and what are we doing here? What do I need to do here? And, he's always there to, to help, and just everybody. We're just always here to help each other and, push each other along the way. And, they're your biggest supporters, people have a lot of friends and whatnot, but, when it comes down to this stuff, your family's your biggest support. And, they're definitely mine. I don't know how many times they've watched me probably, blow a head gasket in mine or ruin some engine or some sort. And, they laugh and poke fun, but, they're right there to help me in the garage to get it fixed up. And, that's, as my wife and family would say, that's who we are and that's what we do. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's a great deal. And
And
part of that race week, that family is, that's it. That's what it's all about. And Matt created
It's kind
that.
of an extension of your own family. Like you have your own family, and then you've kind of got your like race week family people, and like
Right.
you could even cut it down a little further. Like Makayla's got Wicked Chick kind of family, and she's got
Yeah.
Young Gun kind of family, and you've got Hot Rod kind of family and Gasser kind of family, and it's just there's so many different kind of places you fit that you don't not fit anywhere. Like
Right.
it's just like it's such a cool way to meet people that have stuff that you have in common with instantly.
Absolutely.
Like talk about Wicked Chicks. Like
Yeah.
man, that I freaking unfortunately did not upload the Wicked Chick picture from this last year. I meant to, but what a cool like how many freaking Wicked Chicks were there? I mean, it was like 30 or 35 women. How awesome is that? Like, it's just growing and getting more and more ladies behind the wheels of these cars. And man, it's just so cool to me because it's been such a good old boys club for so long. And people like Alex Taylor kind of getting out in front of that stuff. And I mean, you can go back tons further, Shirley Muldowney and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But kind of breaking down those walls. But it's still a thing. Like you're still a racer, but on top of that, you're a Wicked Chick, like you're a badass racer. You know what I mean? Like it's a different thing, and it's not. We're expected to be dainty and tired, quiet and slow. Like we're gonna like stand on a mountain and tell you how effing cool we are, or else. And I just love it. I think it's so cool to be involved in part of that and talk to us about. I mean, Makayla, this is your time. Talk to us a little bit about being a Wicked Chick and being part of that crew, and B even a more exclusive group, a Young Gun, and the only Young Gun winner to do it twice.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as like Young Gun, the year I had won it and then came back to pick a new one, I picked Kelly Hoff, and ever since I picked Kelly Hoff, she's been like my absolute best friend. I wouldn't change like a single thing in the world about that. And then there's also Caleb Dorn. He's amazing. Like all of us when we're at the track, it's literally just like I'm around my siblings. Like it's super fun, entertaining. Like there's never a dull moment around them. And I mean, without like race week or anything like that, the Young Gun Award, I'm a super shy, quiet person, so I probably would have never gone out of my way to go and talk to them or become friends with them, anything like that. So I mean, because of like Wicked Chicks, Young Guns, things like that, I've created those bonds with those people. And then like Wicked Chick too, there's so many other people like Caleb Dorn's mom, Janae, Gracie Gwynn, like all of those people. They're just all involved in that. And once you're around them, they just all pretty much become your family.
Yeah, dude, and that's 100% it. And being being a little shy and having something immediately in that you can talk to someone about, like if nothing else, we have this in common. And then you find out, like, wait a second, you live a few hundred miles away, and we're not all that different. Like you and I, we just and she's got a 4th gen Camaro, you got a 3rd gen Camaro. Like you've kind of got that stuff kind of going, and she's a Nebraska girl, you're a Pueblo girl, and I'm sure that's just you think like, man, we're so far apart and we're so different. And once you sort of you really dissect it, like we're not at all. Like why are we not best friends? And you totally are, and then you get to see each other, and that's kind of the cool thing. I just wrote an article for Sick the Mag of like low maintenance friends that you make on drag and drives. Like they're friends that you can see every year or twice a year, and you've lost nothing. Like you can walk directly to them and almost finish the conversation that you had started last time you talked to them. And that's something that like drag and drive almost exclusively does. Like drag racing does a bit of that, but this stuff is different. Like you struggle with these people, and that's a different thing. Like it's and Rocky Mountain Race Week is hard, and it's like it's unapologetically hard. Like it's hard on purpose.
Yeah.
Because of that. Like nothing worth getting is easy. And if you've trudged through it and you've, gotten the shit kicked out of you a little bit, and you come out the other side and you're like on top of it, like that's an accomplishment. And it's a super cool thing to be part of the fraternity and sorority that they're in. And it's, I tell people all the time, and I can talk about it until I'm blue in the face, but like, until you know it, you just don't know it. And like, I can tell you know it because you're just sitting there like, you're totally right. Like,
Oh yeah,
yep,
no,
you're totally
100%.
right. And it's just such a different thing. Like you have people literally coast to coast and even further. Like you can throw rocks to Australia or whatever, that they'll look at cars for you. They'll look at parts for you. They'll buy parts for you. They'll bring parts across the country for you. They'll bring cars across the country for you. They'll, rescue you if you're broken down on the side of the road. It's just it, and not even in the middle of a race week. Like, oh hey, hi there. What do we got? Oh, chicken nuggets.
There you go. Hey, there you
Chicken
go.
nugget delivery. Okay, giddy up.
There you
Stevie
go.
comes in clutch with chicken nuggets and my back pill. But no, it's just such a cool thing, and I'm so happy to hear that. Again, like a kind of introverted person is able to make such good friends because of this thing, and it's just a thing. Like it's just, and that's exactly what it is. Is just, man, thank you so much for coming and enjoying yourself. And here's a little extra for doing it at a young age, because without you, this sport could die. And that's no joke. Like, because you have so much passion and you have friends that have so much passion and you have a long reach now, like we're in good hands because I'm handing the keys to you. And like, you need to remember that, because at some point you're going to have the chance to hand the keys to somebody else, and like keep stoking that fire, because without it, it dies. And then we drive electric cars and we're boring. And that's not like we want carbureted 406s and third gens, like ripping up and down the road with a girl with pink hair driving
Absolutely.
it. Like that's what we want in the world. And if you don't want that, like, then you can go away. You don't have to be one of the, dozens of people that watch That's Cool
Right.
Drink on Tuesday nights at 7.
Right.
And that's how it is.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I think that's the huge deal is, parents, I'm a pretty young parent at this time. And, it's, everything that my dad taught me, I'm thankful that I learned. And, as a kid, you don't want to be in a garage all the time. You want to be, with your friends. And, it's either you're hanging out with your friends at a drive-in or doing something dumb, or, you're wrenching on your car for a Friday night for a high school race. And, there's been lots of times, her and I go at it like two squirrels. We're always arguing and bickering, and Sarah has to be the mediator at it. But she's nothing short of she gets in, she does it, she puts in the work, and then she plays on the weekends, and it's worked out great. And being able to pass that on to her, and then hopefully because my dad passed it to me, and my father-in-law has passed it to Sarah, and Sarah helps me wrench on the car, and she's my fuel and tire person, and washes out, and so being able to pass it on to your kids. And now Makayla, eventually down the road will be able to share it with a family of her own, and whatnot, and so on and so forth. And like you said, that's what we have to lean on. And huge props to to Matt and June for creating that, because I met Matt a long time ago. I think he was in his early 20s with his Ford Coupe when it still had the
yeah, he had the coupe when he was in the Outlaws.
Yeah, he raced the Colorado Bad Outlaws and stuff when my dad and I first kind of met him, and just a ton of history there, and through his uncle Dave, and and his and his family and stuff. And it truly is one of those family events, because not only did it start like, for instance, like you got the Joe Berrys, and now
Right.
little Joey's building a car, and Michelle, and you just have all these guys that you look up to, or and now their kids are racing. And I mean, look at Blaine
Right.
Stark, perfect example. Tom in his fast wagon, and now Blaine's piloting a 470s Mustang. I mean, that's one of the coolest things ever. And
Amazing, right?
Yeah, hopefully one day she'll pilot the Chevelle, and it'll probably run 8s, and I'll be done.
Yeah,
So,
and then you can just sort of stand there and like crew chief,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. That was going to be my next question. Is I kind of ask everyone that does one of these with their, with someone they love, and is it more fun to pilot your own car or watch her do hers? Pilot
More
hers.
fun to watch her. So
Yep.
it's funny because for the longest time, as I had said before, my dad's had some super cool stuff and some super fast cars and just really cool things. And, I always just wondered, I spent all this time, building my Impala, and I had that blown Falcon. And I'm like, why don't you race any of your stuff? And, he was always helping me do my stuff. And,
Right.
now that I'm in that position, I find much more enjoyment, watching, the smile on her face every time she does a burnout. It's priceless, and
Right.
we kind of say, been there, done that, got that T-shirt, but that's what it's all about. I have, I love watching her make passes, and she, it's funny. Probably one of my all-time favorites is she ran for your second year when you took third.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in Pueblo, and she ran a 13. Was it a 13-1 something? And we're like, all right, 13-1, turn it in. Like it's at the end of the night. Like we got to go. We got to pack up. We're out of here. And
Right.
My wife always tells her, trust yourself and trust your car. And she's like, no, I'm going to go for another one. I'm doing it. Like I'm going out. I'm going to make another pass. And I think that pass is what sealed up your third place, because I think you ended up with a 13:08, I believe, or 05. And like just killed it. And here we all are like, yeah, pack up and go. And, just for her to have that, have that ambition and, that intuition of, just kind of knowing what she's doing. It's super great to watch and see. So
It's just got to be such like a proud thing to like,
oh yeah,
dude, if we'd have just packed up, like you wouldn't have been standing there holding hardware at the end of the weekend. But like your perseverance, knowing that you had something more in that car, kudos to you. Like that's fully Makayla earning the trophy. Like probably wouldn't have otherwise. Stuck it out, knocked out of time, third place. Like that's and those classes. If you're brand new, if you're watching, if you've never seen one of these, man, like the top 10 is a 10th. So like a 13-10, dude, you're done. Unfortunately, especially if you're later in the week, like you got to be 13-0 by the last day, like do 3 or 4 to move anything. And it depends on how it shakes out. So how cool is that? Like, and I say that a lot. People ask me a ton, like, do you miss competing? And I'm like, sure. Yeah, I miss competing, but I get more excited watching Stevie make passes than myself. It's just such a different thing to root her on, and on top of that, have a microphone in my hand, so you guys get to listen to it whether you like it or not.
Right. So
like everyone gets to hear and cheer on my person, or else. That's it. That's what you get, and it's just such a cool thing for me to watch her do so well in it. And we'll see if we got something for the 14-0 class this year. I don't even know. I have no idea what my car's going to run. Zero clue.
Well, that's the beauty of it, you get out there, see what it does. Her first year, we thought, what class do we put her in? Because we didn't know if it was going to go 1350s and 14-0s, whatever we were going to do. And so at first I was like, kind of like the good old Chad Reynolds, throw it the unlimited class, see what happens,
Right. And then he ended up third place in unlimited. He got a trophy from unlimited with I think his average was in the 15s or something. You can, that's a thing. You can do that.
Well, so then, the racer and me, and I'm competitive, and, I'm like, all right, so if she makes a pass, we're doing this, let's do this. And, I have to be brought back down, like I said, thankful for my wife, she's like, let her make a decision. So I think you ended up running like a 13:20 or something like that. We're like, so what do you want to do? And she's like, I'm going for the 13-0 class. And I think that first year you finished in the top 10, 15 maybe, out of 40 some cars,
right. Which is, and again, with a 10th spread typically in the first top 10,
absolutely,
like, that's pretty good right off the trailer. And with a brand new rookie driver that you're trying to figure it out, like, I think, Stevie typically is right around the 10 mark. And we feel pretty good if we can like be in the top 10 for a day or two, even like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And those classes get so tight. I mean,
Oh,
so freaking tight. But what a cool accomplishment. Like, how cool for you.
yeah.
How much money have you won at a race week? I mean, over $2,000, right?
I think right around that area.
Right
yeah.
around $2,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been close. Yeah.
Mhm.
How cool is that? Because you got to know, there's drag and drive people, coast to coast, that have won $0.
Mhm.
And like you've won more money than, dude. Larry Larson's never won $1. No, that's not true. He's won race week. That's not
Yeah.
true. But there's a handful of people. Mike Roy has a 7-second 70 Monte Carlo, has never won $1 doing drag and drive.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be a cool deal for you to have like a little bit of folding money. And if you're
Right.
anything like me, the car wins you money. The car gets the money,
Yep.
so then it it turns into speed.
Exactly.
And-
It equals out. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, like maybe that's your push to the 11.0 class. Maybe.
Yeah. You never know.
I'm
Yeah.
fingers crossed. I think we're going to see that thing do that. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah. I
be
mean,
cool.
she's won more money than I've ever won. I've won some pretty cool trophies and stuff. Racing circle track, but just to see the cool hardware we get from race week, and then to get that money slapped in your hand. I mean, especially as a teenage kid, like, I mean, that's awesome. It's killer.
Right.
And,
Right.
and that brings me to kind of the stuff that you do, and for the young guns, and then the wicked chicks, from Cody and Chad, like,
Yep.
it just, I mean, super cool. And I mean, and like you were talking earlier, I mean, let's face it. I mean, wicked chicks, they're gangster. Like, you and I both know some fast dudes, and even those
Right.
guys are like, hey, you wanna turn your stuff up and run Jason one time? They won't do it. You tell a wicked chick, hey, you want to race so and so? What car do they have? I don't know. Sure. She'll slam her
let's
helmet
go.
up, pull,
Like,
yeah, she'll slam
yeah.
her helmet up, pull her face mask down, and they're gangster. They will race anybody, anywhere, anytime. And I had the opportunity, really young, to get to know Daphne and stuff like that, and
Right.
More. I just wish that Makayla would have been able to meet those girls, because true definition of of badass women that
Yeah, man, and
that's like a challenge.
both of them competed while they were sick.
Yeah.
It was inspiring. It was an inspiring thing to watch both these ladies do it. And I mean, Morgan was a stick figure, but was running 11s, I think, in that GTO, and just killing it, like knocking the tree down every time. And then the best picture ever of Daphne is she's got no hair because she's gone through chemo and she's lost all her hair. And same deal, she's a stick figure, but she has the biggest smile on her face, and she's grasping at time slip in the wagon, the Ethel wagon.
Yep.
And she's in her fire suit, and we're at Great Bend, and she's losing her mind because she just ran her PB. And I think the next day had to leave before the last day because she had gotten too sick.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if she made it a month past that.
Yeah. I got an opportunity to chat with her while she was in Pueblo, and watching her run Ethel, and I just remember chatting with her at the pit, and Chad was fixing up the car, and and she was like, let's go again. Like, she was hot rodding it, she was lapping it, putting laps on it. And I mean, just the true definition of just all around badass. And because like me, I mean, we make a pass, and let's let the car cool down, let's do this, let's check data, yada yada. No, they're bringing it back around. As long as it's got fuel in it for another pass, they're
like, let's go. Like, let's put it back in the beams, and let's get this freaking number because we've been firing for it.
Yeah.
And Like I mean, there's big burly special forces dudes I met in the Army that don't do stuff that wouldn't have done stuff that these ladies are doing. And they do it day in and day out, and it's a different thing. And I think it's really really cool that they spotlight the ladies in the sport, because I mean, you had a lot of them. I mean, there were 35 of them, right? But you're still like barely 10%, and you know, there's 50% of women on the earth, and we in my opinion just need to make it as easy as we can to bring as many of them in as we can. Like, it can't be this redneck macho, you know, just sport for dudes with, you know, mullets and back hair. Like, that's not, like, pretty girls can race too, and like exhibit A, B, C, D. I mean, you can go down the line, and they can do it, and they can do it with like fiercity. Look at Leah Pruitt. You know, I mean, up until this year, until she's like ready to try to start having a family, like at the top of the game. I mean, the Force Girls, for crying out loud. That's just, and again, they do it with, you know, like Alex Taylor is, you know, her motto is, go fast, stay pretty, be happy. Like, you can do those things. You can be a girl, but still go and kick the shit out of the boys. It's okay. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's cool that he's like involved as well with the women in wheels program, and they do the fire suits made for women, because like he says, they have lumps and bumps in different places than we do, and like that's important to have stuff that fits, that's comfortable for a woman. So it's cool that there's so much of that kind of coming forefront and making it easier for a young lady to get involved in this stuff. There's no bad. It's all up. I'm excited to be here for it.
Yeah. No, it's an exciting time, and you know, I love, one of my favorite things to watch is, you know, we'll be at the track, either our local track or even at race week, and you know, the family will be in the pit, and you know, people come over and look, and you know, they kind of do the little head nod and look at me, and I'm like, it's not my car. You can talk to the driver. It's her
You
car.
talk to her, dude.
I'm
Yeah.
Wait, who? Like, this is hers? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's her deal. I mean, she's, you know, I mean, that's, like I said, that's her baby. That's what she, you know, spends her hard, you know, time and money on, and you know, it's funny to see that, you know, people's face of, you know, kind of confusion when they're like, oh, well, wait a second, and you know, just truly set an example in a sport like this, and it's super cool to see. So.
And Makayla, tell us, the name of the car is Caroline, right?
Yeah, Caroline.
Why?
So my older cousin, I've always been super close with her. Her alter ego when she's drunk, she obviously likes to have fun. Her alter ego's name is Caroline. So that's just kind of what I thought. It fits perfect with the car, so Caroline's her name, and that's just, it's funny every time everybody asks me that, because I mean, I don't think they would think that's my cousin's alter ego's name when she's drunk.
It's your drunk cousin's name. So your car is basically your drunk cousin.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Which fits right in with third gen. Exactly. Which right in with third gen.
I mean, it's perfect, right? Exactly. I mean, it's ready to go.
It fits the car so well, because it's, you know, like the car, it's amazing how they have their minds of their own. I mean, her car is deadly consistent 95% of the time. And then all of a sudden, you know, we'll put a dial in on the window, and it'll go out, and she'll break out by, you know, a tenth. And
like a ton, right? You miss it just like.
Exactly. You're like, well, wait a second. It's ran, you know, 1220, 1224, 1227, and she's killing it at the light. And then all of a sudden, boom, 1218, 1210, 1212. We're like, where did this come from? You know, so we have to tell her every once in a while, like, you better talk to your girl, because, you know, she's got some racing to do.
Yeah,
so
go settle her down.
Yeah, they have their conversations, you know, before race week or before passes all the time. So, yeah.
Hell yes. All right, so we're past an hour in. I'm going to start getting in on some of my questions. And if you're on the comments and you want to know more from either Danny or Makayla or both or me or whoever, pop them in there. We'll get those things answered. But let's get mine started. What is, and I'm just going to do them both. So you guys just answer, whoever answers first, but you both answer. So Makayla, pay attention. I saw you roll your eyes there. That's okay. What is your best memory from a drag and drive?
It would probably be when we were in Nebraska and what Dan was talking about, how I wanted to make that last pass for the 13.0 class. I was livid that I didn't run that 13.0 for that one pass. And you had called open lanes in the last run for everybody. And I remember looking at my grandpa, slamming the hood on my car and saying, let's go. And I hopped in the car. And then I went and made the pass and I got that 13.0. And I just remember coming back and I was like ecstatic about everything. I was just so happy.
Hell yes. Danny.
Yeah. Man, I mean, you had, shared a few photos of the family in front of the car and stuff. And I mean, there's not nothing about a drag and drive that I don't, that I don't like. But just memory, favorite memory, other than just, completing it with my family is, I think the time we were headed out from, I want to say it was like Sterling on our way back. And it's just kind of a funny memory. And, apologize to my father-in-law, but he was driving, or I think he was in the passenger seat. And Nitro Dave Vassar from
Nitrous Outlet.
Yeah, Nitrous Outlet was behind us. And Makayla had to pull over for some reason. And she pulled over on the side of the ditch. And they, unbeknownst to John, that ditch was about 3 feet deep. So,
oh, no.
Dave Vassar just saw, John get out of the car and drop about 3 feet down in the tall grass out in the middle of nowhere. And it was always just kind of a, for the rest of that week, it was like, oh, you okay and stuff. And, just, memories of family. I mean, there's, I think everybody catches it. You drive down the road and, you see people on the side of the road. The first thing you want to do is throw your thumb out the window and see if they're good. Or, you pass by some random place on the side of the road and you're like, man, that would be a cool checkpoint for somebody. And, it's just, those are those type of memories that I don't think, no matter what we end up doing in life or how old we get, you remember those times with family and stuff. So.
Yeah, totally. And like the throwing your finger out the window is such an old school thing. Like, man, people won't even slow down for you now, broken down on the side of the road. And you get on one of these things and you have 40 people trying to stop and help you. Like, even when you give them a thumbs up, they're still pulling over. Like, are you good? Like, I gave you a thumbs up, right? I know, but are you actually good? Because, like, I get it. If you need anything, kind of, it's just such a different deal. And then everyone kind of goes back to their world and, like the world forgets about that. But like those of us that are kind of steeped in this stuff, like that sticks in your head. Like you see a car pulled over and you're like waiting to see the thumb. Yeah. And you're hoping that you see the thumb and you're like, I might just stop like real quick. I got an extra 5 minutes. Maybe I can help this dude out. And you just never know. It's just such a different thing though. Because like I said, I mean, you could break down right now. And I broke down with our trailer moving here on the side of middle of nowhere, Wyoming. And I mean, we could have used some help. And not a one person stopped and helped us. So it's a different world. So I like that one a lot. We'll stick with Makayla first. What's your favorite racetrack? Either you've been to or you know of or whatever.
For some reason, I really liked Great Bend. I think it was just I think it was probably the grass everywhere, and it was just, I don't know, being there felt very nice, and it was a very big property, everything like that. I would probably say that's one of my favorite tracks that I've been to. It was Great Bend.
That's a good one, and that was if you didn't know, that was the very first U.S. Nationals was held at Great Bend in 1955. And there's a really cool photo somewhere of John Vandermeer, OG, original John Vandermeer, towed out a 55 Chevrolet in 1955 to that race in a semi-truck. He was the first person to bring like a full-on tractor trailer with a car in it to a national event race. Typically, they would be on like a car hauler kind of thing or something like that. But he showed up with a legit tractor trailer with these huge long ramps with a 55 Chevrolet to the 55 U.S. Nationals at Great Bend, which is super neat. But yeah, that's a super good track. I mean, that was a B-52 training base for the World War II time frame. And then when the guys got back from the service, they wanted to drag race their hot rods. They had some money in their pocket. They had just lived through war, and what better place to do it than the airstrip that just closed down, and you can go race your homeboy that you just got back from the war with, and bring your family. Obviously, is what happened, because here we are generations later, because they did what you guys did and brought their family along and passed down the torch. So I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have, I'd have to agree with Makayla. Great Bend's a good one, but I think overall, I got to kind of stick with, my home track, Pueblo.
They lay it down, dude. They're freaking gangster. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, my dad told me stories when he was younger and stuff. They had Winston Nationals there, and I think my dad even has a photo of Connie Coletta laying underneath his dragster with a piece of cardboard and an open trailer. Just cool stuff, and just the history behind there, and like I said, shout out to Donnie and PMP. Like, those guys, work their tails off for the racers. Not very, not a big budget, nothing super fancy, a scrubber, a dragger, and a sweeper. But, Dave Gagger and, the team and Donnie and those guys, I mean, when it's time to put on a show, they put on a show. And
they lay it down, dude. Yeah. They absolutely lay it down. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with the home track. And I know it was scary earlier this year. If you guys didn't know, it looked like Pueblo was maybe not going to open. Big shout out to Nova's Class and Josh Herman for jumping in, and they paid for the temporary replacement or the temporary fix of the track so they can race this year. Right. And it sounds like it's on schedule or on track to get completely replaced over the off season this year as well.
Yeah, hopefully, if all the from what we hear and what we can see, hopefully the bidding stuff and the city kind of allows it, or the honor farm board that it's a part of, and it would just be a great addition to have that stuff done. As we surfaced, I think, back in 2012, but just definitely would help that program out a ton. And pretty much every track we've been to, Joe Roach and Kearney, like, those guys are super awesome, and the track that they put on, and their guys and stuff. I mean, it's to put up with 300 and some plus of us, and countless cars and countless passes, like, those get any track manager, track employee, hats are off to you guys, because it's tough, and
it's tough, dude, and it's hot. It's always hot, and we're there in a weekday. Like, these dudes have regular jobs typically, so they're taking time off of work to come so that we can play, and play on a Tuesday night in the middle of Pueblo, and then we drive from Pueblo to Kearney, and we play on a Thursday night in Kearney, and it's the same thing. Like, these are dudes with regular jobs that come up. They got limited staff. It's sort of like race week. I mean, honestly, it's sort of like, I mean, it's a small time operation, and they make a lot happen with little, and it's cool. It's cool when you show up to Pueblo and you get, your best 60 foot of your entire Rocky Mountain Race Week. And, you do it at this, like, little track, but like, it's a little track with big heart, big dreams. And, like, you can't fake passion. Like, the cats that do that and do it and put it on week after week after week and do it at a high level with that little staff, like, that's passion for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ed Hohenberg, I don't have an update on Great Bend. Everyone's suing everybody. Unfortunately, it's just the concrete is bad. They ground it down, and it was porous, and it just won't grip, and it's continually degrading. So everyone is suing everybody. The city is suing the concrete contractor. SRCA is suing the concrete contractor. The concrete contractor is suing the guy that did the finished work. The finished work guy is suing the people that did the grinding. So it unfortunately it's stuck in litigation. It's sort of similar to Pueblo. It's a city-owned track, so there's not a guy that can just show up and say this is what we're going to do. It's a board, and that they've got a car club that was running it in the past. I don't know if that has been renewed or not, but there's a board of directors that run the track. And then there's the city council, and there's a lot involved, unfortunately, and it's gotten a little out of hand. So I really, really, really hope Great Bend comes back, because Great Bend is such a cool track. And I think that the city knows that the track is going to be a good pull for them, A, monetarily, and B, just with public relations. Like for a PR standpoint, it's good to have like a track that gets along with the city and people can make money. But someone's going to need to jump in and put cash, and like a lot of it, into that track in a short amount of time to make it like a feasible thing. And no one wants to do that. No one wants to step up and do that, because if a person does that, the city still owns the track. It's a hard ask to ask someone like, dude, can you give us $400K to redo this, concrete, and you're gonna make $75,000 a year. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. As of right now, nothing. It's stuck in bureaucratic red tape nonsense. At some point, I hope it will come back. I think it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be, we have to do something, and we'll have a crossroads. And I think that day is probably coming sooner than later. So I would guess within the next year, we'll probably have a pretty good idea of the future of that track. But I hope it comes back. Even if it's just asphalt, bring that track back. Like
100%.
For crying out loud. It doesn't need to be perfect. We don't need to run 6-second cars on that track. But if you put an 850 limit on that track and you give people a place to race, like, bring it back.
100%.
Yeah. That's just me. I'm that guy. This will be a good one for Danny. I don't know if it's going to really necessarily apply to Makayla, but it'll be a really good one for Danny. Tell me about the one that got away. What car did you sell that you shouldn't have sold?
Oh, man.
So, Makayla, you probably haven't sold a car, right? Yeah, so this does not count for you. So Danny has bought and sold 4,000 cars in the last 10 years. So he's going to have to flip through the memory banks. But this is one that, like, when I was setting you guys up, like, I really want to hear this from Danny, because again, Danny he buys and sells a lot of cars. Like, he's been through some stuff, and like some really, really cool stuff. So this will be an interesting one.
Yeah, man, it's a tie. Like, I built a really cool 62 Biscayne that that I didn't make very many passes in it, and I ended up trading it for a full-on custom 50 Buick. That was a full lead sled and whatnot. I do miss that car a lot, and I think it's because when I sold it to somebody local here in Colorado, and so I see it all the time. So I see it at car shows, and my wife gets annoyed because I'm like, look, there's my old car. Like, look, and I still have pictures, and I'm like, oh no, they changed the steering wheel, or oh, they did this, and so that's one of them. But probably my blown Falcon. It was owned by Chucky DeWally that raced.
Yep, the Poison Ivy Falcon.
Yep, for the Poison Ivy.
Yep, and that was a bad outlaw car.
Yeah,
and it was 62. You said
63.
63. Yeah, so it was the early Falcon. It was yellow. It was that car was so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going to go through it. It was a blown big block Chevrolet.
Yep.
The power glide in a 9-inch.
Yep.
I think it ran in the mid-8s.
Yes. So I ran low 8s in Great Bend, and then we were on a great pass and stuff like that. Had some tranny issues, so it would have gone 7s out there. But it was a fun. I grew up watching that car with Linear.
Same.
Ed Arcuri and the firefighter, and it was a dream as a little kid to run and play with the big boys, and it's funny that we kind of say that now, but their drag and drive wasn't a huge thing. It was the biggest and baddest blown alcohol cars. I mean, I don't care who you are. I mean, you could hear a twin turbo, big block fire up and spool up, and it's cool. Or you hear a nitrous guy purging, but when you hear a blown alcohol car fire up and start surging and stuff like that, I mean, everybody knows Royce Payton, one of the coolest dudes ever. The Nightmare's a super badass car. Excuse my language, but you hear the blower fire up, you see people, they stop what they're doing, they put tools down, whether it's looking over their shoulder or going to the line. You're watching a blown alcohol car run, and I was pretty fortunate enough to be in a spot as a little bit younger than I was, and purchase a car from Chucky, and gave me all kinds of tools and pointers, and raced with the Rocky Mountain Superchargers for a while, and great time. It was kind of a low budget. It was a 100 over 454, had a magnesium little field blower on it. I mean, it made 18 pounds, and I mean it was a fun car.
And it's pretty amazing those cars. Like I helped Mike Candelario kind of in his early kind of area moving into his altered when he put the blower on it, and it was a super comp motor. It was a 509. It had aluminum heads, and it was still like a girdle, like a stud girdle on the rocker arms and stuff. It was very, very low buck. Like I think it had steel, like 7/16 pink rods and stuff even in it. Still, it wasn't even like an aftermarket rod. And I mean, that stuff was running in the like high sevens, and it was same deal. It was like 18 pounds. Like it was gangster stuff. Like it was fun dabbling in that crap. And I mean, when you're talking about, the biggest and baddest and kind of looking up to these guys, like Matt Frost was in that world. Like he had the coupe and it had a blower on it, and that was kind of his. He was kind of moving in that world. And Kevin Guthrie had his car, and they're the kind of who's who of drag racing was those dudes. And like they were rock stars. I was a bracket racer, dude. Like these dudes are showing up on 10.5-inch tires and running like 9 flat in like a stock suspended Nova, but with like a 540 with a blower or whatever. And it was like, that was gangster stuff to me. And now these are dudes that are doing dragon drives with us. Like you can walk over to their pit and go shake Kevin Guthrie's hand and be like, dude, I love your car. He's like, which one? Cause he's got 100, and Matt Frost is the same way. Like, man, I grew up watching you race this coupe, against like Darce Laws. I mean, for crying out loud, I mean, these are like the gangsters in our world. And like I said, like now they're hanging out in the pits and they know my name, and like they know your name and they know Makayla's name. Like that's what a cool place to like rub elbows with, dude, in our world, creme de la creme of Colorado, Wyoming drag racing. Like that was that's a pretty damn cool thing to have that kind of right next to you. Like you could pit right next to Kevin Guthrie, and that cat's been on Street Outlaws. And you could pit right next to Matt Frost, and that cat's got a car that could win any drag and drive event that it goes to. Like that's a pretty cool like group of friends to, like I said, like rub elbows with and eat hot dogs. Like it's kind of fun when you kind of boil it down to, I'm one of 300 dudes here rubbing elbows with cats that, dude, back in the day, I would be afraid to go up and like say hi to. And like I said, they're handing you a hot dog and high-fiving you for running a 12.0. Like that's what a cool world.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, and kind of what you said, I grew up watching, like all those guys, like Ed Arcuri's son, Darce, Aaron Ginn and the late Paul Miller. I'm like, dude, those guys
Aaron Ginn's car was in like psycho to me. Because he was like the first Turbo LS small tire Nova.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think he ran 880 one night at like a test and tune. Like it was like a Wednesday night test and tune. And like they don't prep for nothing.
No.
And that car went like 880 at like 165 on like a 9-inch slick. And I was losing my effing mind.
Yeah. Like Todd Butterfield and his his car had at the time, I think it was a Turbonetics, and correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows, but I think it was like
I don't know.
101 millimeter or something like that.
Right.
But I'm like, there's no way they drive that on the street. Absolutely nothing, and now, you can message any of them guys up, and, a matter of fact, in the Chevelle, Aaron Jim, has helped, step my transmission program up, huge. And, they're great dudes where, their name is everywhere in this drag and drive community. And you can call them up and be like, hey, my stuff's not shifting, or what do I do? And, they'll call you, message you, send you parts, look at it, and I mean, it's just, it's crazy how that full circle stuff comes, comes to life. And then
it's a great time to be alive, dude.
Exactly. To have, a daughter of mine that's rubbing elbows with some of the fastest people in the country. And, she can walk over and, she gets on the scooter and, frolics around, and, you see her over there and she's like, oh, she's talking to these people, or, her and the girls or the wicked chicks are over here doing this. And it's like you said, like 20 years ago, I wouldn't have walked up to any of those people and said hi.
Yeah, no way, dude. No way. And like, she can strike up a conversation and have a like intelligent conversation with them at the same time. Like, it's not just like, I mean, again, not to like stereotype, but it's not like like you're like, hi, I need effing jets for my carburetor. Do you have a set of 78s? Like, I've only got 80s and I'll run them. But like, again, like pink hair, like badass, like I've got to go do my stuff. What do you have parts for me? No, I'll go to the next guy. I'll go rub elbows with whoever. Like, let's go. I just need jets. I'm not here to fangirl. I'm here to borrow parts, and we're equals. Like, we're both racing here and we're having fun. And that's cool. Like, that's cool drink.
Absolutely.
Hey. All right. Here's the one I gave you the heads up on. So hopefully you've been thinking about it. Makayla will go first. Endurance drag and drive type car. Which car? Assume everyone's car is for sale and you have a huge stack of money, a unlimited stack of money, or someone's just going to give you whatever car. Whose car are you going to take home?
Corey Thompson's, 100%.
Corey Thompson's 67 Chevelle. That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Yep, it definitely would be that one.
I mean, that dude, yeah, that car is so good. And then what the best part is, I think he said he's won 8 class wins in a row, including the Olympia that he just did.
Mm-hmm.
And he won hot rod class at Pueblo. And then he and his co-pilot took that crap up Pikes Peak.
Yep.
Like, that's certified street car gangster. Like, and again, this isn't a 600-mile drag and drive. Like, he took this crap on a 1,300-mile drag and drive and then took it up Pikes Peak with a gigantic trophy in the back seat. Like, that's, I'm with you. I see you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Danny's going to say the same thing.
Well, yeah, that'd probably be my first choice along with her, but I can't cancel out Brandon Tapp's bet. That bet's super cool. Small tire, twin turbo, I believe it's an LS7 motor.
Yep.
Hangs out there with the best of the guys. But even picking cars, I mean, just depending on what class or, who's running what, I mean, there's so many cool things. I mean, I'd like to do Joe Barry's 56, I think that's probably one of the most iconic, drag and drive cars. And,
and street, just street car period. Like, I mean, tons of that early fastest street car stuff, like that car. Talk about rubbing elbows with I mean, God in this. I mean, that dude. Come on, like you can't go wrong with that cat.
Yeah, no, and I mean, as a kid, I used to, watch him pull levers with the Linko and, be in the pit, and I always thought it was cool, to see he had, I believe they were like, leaf blowers and stuff, just cooling clutches and trannies off. And, at the same time, you can walk up to that man today or 20 years ago, and he's the same dude that, he's always been. And no matter what he's done and what he's accomplished, I mean, him and his family are second to none. I mean, it's just crazy car. And, Matt's Nova when it had the twin turbos. And even now, just an iconic car and, just setting the bar for all these guys that, and that's kind of how I started. I thought I was going to, show up, when I registered in 2016 and I'm like, oh, I got this little Rambler with an LS motor. I'm going to go out there and run with these guys, and then, when I sold that one and didn't have anything to go that year, you watch and you see these guys and you're like, oh man, dude, they just cracked off a mid-9 pass. And, there's absolutely no way. Like I turned in a 14 or 15 second time slip not long ago.
Right.
And, it's nuts. And then you just see how these guys progress, to what they've gotten. It's nuts.
It's so nuts. And it's cool to watch the progression of the cars and the people and the families even. Like, I mean, you're talking about Daphne, like think about Cole when he first started going on Rocky Mountain Race Week. Like, dude, Cole was like dorky, skinny, tall, like 13-year-old, like Cole. And like Cole's the coolest dude in motorsports right now. Like that's like watching his progression from, the kind of the same deal, like kind of an introverted little kid to like an adult to a thriving adult. Like that's a cool, like Blaine, look at Blaine for crying out loud. Like, I mean, that kid still looks like he's 12, but I mean, that was me. I was always the young looking kid, but man, he goes out there and he went 486 in El Toro. That's like a mid 7-second pass in the quarter mile. I mean, and he just turned 16, like not long ago. Like that dude, that kid is, what the hell, man? Watching these kids just grow. Kid was, I mean, he was like, I actually told Tommy, his dad, was like, dude, like 10 years ago, you were wiping his ass, and he just went 486. And I was like, how fast have you been? He's like 520. And he's like, I'm like, okay, so, I mean, dude, and he's like, I haven't even thought of that. Like, I didn't even put that into perspective. Like, that kid has been quicker than me at 16, and I'm in my 40s. And yeah, 10 years ago, I was basically wiping that kid's ass. Like, pretty good. Like, way to grow up. That's, and we get to watch that. Like, it's kind of a cool deal to get like a front row seat twice a year to watch these kids grow into young men and women, into thriving men and women nonstop. It's just such a cool deal. Like, I'm happy to have such a front row seat to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And Makayla's no exception. Like, you started doing this junk at 15 with having need a waiver, like the youngest kid ever to do this, and here you are, 18, pink hair, third gen. I mean, you're basically a 1985 Whitesnake commercial or Whitesnake music video, and you don't know what that is. But like, music videos used to be a thing. MTV used to play music videos, and like, yeah, there you are. You're like the badass chick doing burnouts in front of the dude's house for, breaking your heart. That's it's good stuff. It's good. That's a pretty good way to live right now. And in the parlance of our times, where you could be jamming your phone, no sus, on God.
Real.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
exactly. Am I keeping up with the times? Am I cool now? No.
Yeah.
No, I'm way behind. It sucks. Whatever. I'm not a boomer. All right. Lay off.
I try to be cool. It doesn't ever work.
There's no way I can't. Yeah, I'm way past that.
Right.
But now I'm doing stuff with Cletus, and so like Cletus's friends are like, dude, you're a fucking old guy, and I'm like, uh-oh, I'm back.
There you
Hey, little circle. It's fine. It's all good. Anywho, moving along. I'm nearly done. So if you got anything in here in the comments, pop them in here. Denny and Makayla, wide open book. We're having some fun. We're learning what it takes to bring your kid on drag and drive, and we're learning what it's like to grow up on drag and drive, and we're learning what it's like to build a 3,800 pound, 1,000 horsepower 67 Chevelle and take that stuff on the street and then build your kid a 406 carbureted car and saying good luck. That's supposed to be funny. That was a joke.
Yeah, no, it's
Trailer or no trailer?
I like the trailer. She doesn't. You know, she's hardcore. She has a basket, and her grandfather, they load that thing up and load the inside of the car, and you know they do it too. And it's, you know, I'm you know, my wife and I have the trailer on the back of the Chevelle, and we have all the room for everything and whatnot. But yeah, no, they're hardcore when it comes to that. It's minimal, and they make it work. So, but I'm a trailer.
So Makayla, no trailer.
Yeah, no
Danny, trailer. And but you do have a basket.
Mm-hmm.
I call those a fanny pack. I had one of those for the first year. Well, when I say for the first year, I had it for a day. The first year, not a big fan of it on the G body. Just the triangulated 4 links and the springs. By the time the weight got to the springs, it was just too heavy. And you know, maybe the 3 link with the springs on the 3rd gen is a better kind of setup for that or something. But I was not a fan. I put it in my U-Haul trailer sideways, and I borrowed it from someone. So I was like really happy to give it back to him because I did not have the best time with the fanny pack. But
right.
So Makayla's a fanny pack girl. Danny is a trailer kind of dude. Yeah. And I think that kind of comes too with the speed. I mean, I think if Makayla's car ran in the 9s, you know, or low 9s, that you might want to bring more spares, and maybe then you start thinking about trailer. But at 12.0s, you're efficient enough with what you've got. And I think for a lot of people that's kind of a good way to put it. Like, man, the fanny pack is nice for driving because it's lighter. It's not an axle laying on the ground. There's less to go wrong. There's a lot to be said for no trailer and something else, some other way to get your tires and junk in there. But the trailer, you can put so much garbage in. So if you have problems, you have garbage to fix your problems. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a trailer guy, but I'm a small trailer guy.
Yeah.
I like it. I like having it so I can just take it off. But yeah, I mean, you've seen the banana hammock. That it's a rooftop, thing on a little trailer. It's got tires that are about that tall. So when we're going 150, talk about me going 150. So yeah, so we're last year, right? I believe. Yeah. Talk to us about that, because you had your wife with you. Was this her first time co-piloting with you?
No. So I think it was her. It would be 3rd time now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was her 3rd time, and there she is, and we're just cruising along, and I think we were headed back to Kansas or Nebraska, one of the two. And we're just driving along.
It's like 400 miles, so there's gonna be some sections.
Yeah, and we're just cruising along, talking, chatting, and I just glance out of that little small Chevelle mirror that we have, and I'm like, oh man, somebody's flying up on us, and then just boom, passes right by. And Sarah's like, holy, she's like, was that Adam? And then probably, I don't know, it probably was only a couple minutes later that we got a text. You're like, how'd you like that? And whatnot. But that flyby was pretty awesome. So.
Yeah, and I think I hit you with like about 100 and change, and then I got you with like about a 120 or 130 a couple of days later, and it just man, the thing has 6 gears. It likes to use a lot of them.
Absolutely, yeah, no, it's time.
Whatever. I mean, whatever. Luckily, no one jumped out, and it wasn't a problem. Like, life is good, and it was a big line of 12 or something cars on a 2-lane road, and got a passing lane, and I'm like, well, I'm going to pass all 12. So by the time you start from the back and you get to the front, you're moving pretty good, and you were near the front and giddy up.
We are, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's part of it, and that's what's something nice to talk to folks about that are like getting brand new. Like, man, if you're building a car right now and you're like, oh God, I've got to make it drive 80. Like, you don't, I promise you. Like, you can drive 80 if you want. There's nothing wrong with that. I love it. 80's kind of my spirit animal, like minimum. On like a 40, I'll go 80. No, that's not true. I won't. But no, I mean, 80 is a pretty good cruising speed, but you don't have to. Like, we do a lot of side roads and stuff like that. Like, typically, if your stuff will cruise pretty happy at 55 or 60, like, you'll be all right. I promise you. Like, it's okay. You don't need to go 80. I just like to. But, if you're sitting at home and you're like, man, I'd love to do this, and I only have a turbo 350 and I can't afford a gear vendor, like, you're fine. What do you think people did in the 50s?
Absolutely.
Like, they still drove their cars. It still only had 1-to-1. I mean, up until the 80s, that's what you got. It's fine. It'll still cruise pretty good.
Absolutely.
Makayla can attest to that because she's got a turbo 350 in her car, and probably good gears now too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it can cruise down the road at 3,000. It's no big deal. 3,500 is not going to kill a motor. It's all good. You can make that happen. So don't not come because you don't think you don't have an overdrive, you can't make it work.
Right.
It just, in my world, I like to drive 80.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you bring up a great point because there's so many different, like I have a turbo 400 in my car, and then I start thinking about, the fast 8th mile guys that run glides. I'm like, you guys are running glides and, still driving, this and stuff. And it just, for me, it's kind of mind blowing because I'm like, I don't see it for the most part. I'm like, how are you not wrapping it up crazy or, building a ton of heat? But kind of like you said, they do it. It's possible. You can do it in anything, So
Right. I mean, James McConnell did it with his NA car. It was an NA Malibu. Did drag week in I think 2012. NA big block kind of deal, but he had a 7,000 RPM converter in that car and street drove it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not ideal. It wasn't, real happy all the time, but he did it. You can do it. It's fine. I mean, it's all good. Like, you don't need high zoot drag and drive stuff. Like, you can do this with, I mean, it's sort of like the Poison Ivy car.
Yeah.
You can do this with other crap and make it work. It's not going to be the end of the world. Like, bring your crap out and do it. Like, I promise you, again, what do you think they did in 1955? 55 Chevrolet could make it from coast to coast. It's fine. Yeah. It's all good. It's independent front suspension. It's a solid rear axle. It's leaf springs. It's shocks. It's not rocket science type stuff. You can still make that stuff go down the road. Right. It's all good. I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah.
My last question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think that's half the fun of building cars. You build it to where you can usually walk into any auto parts store and, snag a belt or an alternator or starter or something, and you can keep on going. And I think that's half the fun of it too. So
it's totally half the fun of it. It's fixing the crap with it's MacGyver and stuff together along the side of the road. That's, I made this thing run. Like, Chad's claim to fame is he made an idler pulley out of a chew can. I mean,
yes, I remember that.
You can do stuff like that. It's a thing. But my last question, and if you got any more questions in the comments, pop them in there. Let's get those answered. And thank you guys for showing up and checking this out. And if you haven't yet, cruise over, subscribe to me there on YouTube. That's going to help me a ton. Throw up comments on this stuff. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. Be easy on the don't like. Hopefully you just like. But even if you don't like, help me make it better for you to enjoy and check this stuff out because it's cool. We're on episode 48. It's all drag and drive people. It's all drag and drive all the time. And if you want to know more about these people that are your friends, check this stuff out. It's also on all the podcast outlets as well, but I'm behind because I'm poor. So I'm 2 months behind. I'm on episode 40 or 20 something on those. So pay attention to those. You can still get those. And I came up with a new logo. I've got stickers.
Super
I'm
awesome.
going to have stickers for Rocky Mountain Race Week. So that's going to be fun. So you guys get stickers. It's going to be awesome. How hard is it to back your trailer and if someone breaks down? Oh, to get back to your trailer if someone breaks down. It is not that difficult, really. At some point, someone is going back there. Either another broken person or a spectator or a road weaker can help you get back to your stuff. It's not, yeah, it's not that tough. Very, very, very worst case, rent a U-Haul and a trailer, and you go get your car and you take it back to your truck and trailer, and then you caravan the whole stuff back, return your U-Haul, and you're off and running. But typically, because the community is so small, someone will find something for you. Years past, Bat's had the Mini. He'll let you make parts runs, and you can run and get your truck and trailer with the Mini. Like, we can work that out. We can say drag and drive. We're going to do that. I don't know if you guys saw, Hyde was on Cooper Baghetti's podcast. So, whatever, man. I'm not a big Hyde guy. I'm going to come out and say that. Like, I don't like the way he treated Narks when that whole thing went down. I don't like how he sort of stood behind him and used him as a human shield. And I like Narks a lot. And if you make me choose sides, I'm going to choose Narks. And whatever, go watch that thing and comment on it. I think Cooper did a pretty good job on it, to be honest with you. I think he kind of has his personal feelings with the way it went, but he kept those off to the side and he asked good questions. But that cat still hung up on that drag and drive thing, which is wild to me. Like, I thought we had squashed that, but here we are a year later, and he's back preaching why his trademark was a good deal. And that's whatever, man. Go check it out. Carter was obviously watching that, and I made a comment on it because I'm not a real big fan of dudes that throw other dudes under the bus and cower. That's not kind of how I roll. And cowering type cowards to me that let other dudes take the fall for your stuff. I got no time for you. So go watch it, comment on it. You can make your own decision on that. But if you want my input, I think that dude's a weasel. But that's just me. And he's like the only dude on the planet with a drag and drive that doesn't sell out. So that should tell you everything you need to know. Right. But that said, my last question. If you got anything on the comments, throw them up in there. Let's do it. Check out that Cooper Baghetti podcast. It's on Baghetti Studios. It's just Hyde. It's the one that's on there last. So Carter agrees. It's worth the watch. Check it out. I mean, support Cooper because he's kind of supporting this world too. And honestly, like, you can kind of get a good idea of watch this one and then watch that one. And you can see, like, support versus making money. I haven't made a dime doing this. So give you kind of an idea. Anyway, advice for newbies. And Makayla, I want to start with you again. Actually, you know what? I want to start with Danny. I want to finish with Makayla, but I want Makayla to think about it. I want you to talk about a newbie that's 15 years old that is just maybe getting to be able to turn a key on something that might be coming to like a junior street race or something like that in the future. Like, I want you to think about that. But Danny, advice for newbies, either getting into drag and drive, getting into hot rodding, getting into whatever. What do you say?
Just you got to get out there and do it. Kind of like you were talking earlier. You can't be afraid. Whether it's a 20-second truck, car, whether it's you can afford to go super fast. I think half the part's just going out there and putting yourself out there with it. I think truly most people that do this drag and drive, and it's always kind of humbling when you see, and not to pick on bracket racers because some of those guys are just absolutely deadly and win a ton of money bracket racing. But, when you throw, an everyday racer, circle track guy, anybody into a drag and drive car, and they're like, well, wait a second, you guys beat on these things for a week and you drive them how far? Like, I don't even drive that far, in a month for work. And, when they go out there and they're in that situation and they realize how much fun it is, like I personally, after having that blown alcohol car and straight race cars, I'll probably never ever go back to one. Because it's just not fun. I mean, I've had my wife and girls, in the car. We've been, to, all kinds of different areas, and we take it out for lunch. I mean, there's photos of the girls having Sonic, eating on top of the hood. And I mean, that's what it's about, is to get your kids out. And, my dad, did with me as a young kid. And, you put them in a car, you go out, have fun. Doug Klein said it best, drive your stuff. If he's not, if you don't, he's going to buy it. He's going to take his wife out. And I think that that's worth a share, every year, and I know Matt shares it, you do, and I do as well, and that's the huge part is you get out, you drive them, and, you have fun with them. I mean, my father-in-law has a 23 Model T, and it's one of the coolest things ever. He drives the crap out of it, and you would think it wouldn't make it down the block, and he has a ton of fun, and it's all about, getting in there and driving and experiencing this situation. So, for newbies, whether you think you can make it, do it. Get out there, try it. Road Week is super awesome. My wife and I did it at 2.0. When she did 2.0, we had a ton of fun, and we did it in her everyday driver. And I mean, it was a great time. So just get out and do it. Like, that's
Just
all you
show
gotta
up.
do. Yeah,
Just show up. And if
Yeah.
you guys want to see that Doug Klein interview, it's on 1320 video. It's pretty recent on the RMRWers page right now. I think Matt just shared it. Or check out like Matthew E. Frost just shared it. I shared it a week ago or something like that. Danny, I'm sure will share it here very, very soon if he hasn't already. But
Yeah.
Doug Klein's talking. He's packing his parachute. He's got maybe one of the nicest 69 Camaros that's ever existed in drag and drive ever. It's a Larson built car and it runs in the sixes. And he talks about like this car's, pretty, it's worth some money. It's a pretty expensive car, and Larry's car is expensive, and a bunch of these guys have expensive cars. But if you've got that car sitting home somewhere, like in a bubble, and it's a low mile like protected car, and you just don't ever do anything with it, you're one of these days you're going to die, and it's just going to happen to all of us. It's part of the deal. And your kids aren't going to know anything about that car. It's going to be like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and you're going to have this like 6-figure Ferrari sitting in your garage doing nothing, and you're going to die, and your kids are not going to know what that thing is worth to you as a person or you as a family, and they're just going to sell it. It's going to go away, and someone else is going to take that car. And all he's saying is get that car and unzip it out of that bubble, and throw your wife in the passenger seat, and you go drive. Because that's what that car is made for. And if you don't, someone else is going to pick up that car and they're going to go drive their wife around when you should have. So
Yeah.
go enjoy your shit. Go drive your car.
And and to top it off, and I don't think people until you do it, I don't think you realize how close this event and not just race, Rocky Mountain Race Week or Race Week, any kind of type of drag and drive is like, I'll use Kevin Guthrie as a great example. Him and his dad, in the 55, cruising around,
Right.
in his Jeffco Trans, and just to see his dad with his arm hanging out the window, smiling as his son's piloting a car, or you as standing up in the announcer booth. I'm sure every time you see her do a burnout, you get a little tear and choked up, like that's no longer your girlfriend, that's your fiance, and it's going to be your wife soon. And
Right.
It's those small things that, every time, we kind of have a ritual, I'm in the burnout box every single time. And, I kind of make a sign that, tells her to breathe. And, we tell her we love her every pass. And, it's stuff that, those small things when you get to see your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend,
Like
mother,
I said, someone you love.
yeah, mothers, fathers, anything like that, just to see them, my father-in-law, just, hanging his hands out the T-tops in an 88 Camaro going up a mountain pass, it's just, some of those things are, having, my other daughters and, my mother-in-law trailing along road weekend and just being able to stop and enjoy checkpoints and stuff and, just experiencing it with your family and sharing that. I mean, that's what it's all about. And, if you don't do it, you never know. And, until you do it, you never know. So.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't know. It looks cool from the outside, but until you get in the inside, you have no idea how cool this stuff is. It's such a different thing. All right, Makayla, 15-year-old. My neighbor's 15 and idolizes you. What's your advice to a 15-year-old getting ready to step into your shoes? Boy, girl, up, down, left, right, whatever.
I would probably say my biggest thing is don't underestimate yourself. And I mean, like my mom always tells me, she's before every pass, before she goes up to the stage and like up to the burnout box and everything, she just tells me to trust yourself and trust your car. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that anybody should be told with any of this. And if you feel that something's off or you feel you need to do something, I mean, then go for it and do it if that's what you feel that you need to do. And just put yourself out there with things like that. Don't be afraid to speak up about anything or go talk to people. Put yourself out there, anything like that. I think that's probably the biggest thing I would have to say for anybody new is just believe in yourself and trust yourself throughout the whole process.
It's awesome. Like that's such a good. It's such a good way to end this. It really is because I think anyone, any age, can attest. Can really take that to heart because this isn't. None of this stuff is easy. Like if this were easy, everyone would do this. It's not easy. It's not cheap. Um, especially when you get into drag and drive, like just drag racing in its own thing is not easy. So yeah, I love that. I really do. Like being able to actually believe in yourself and know that trust yourself, like trust that all the work you put into this point is worth it. Like you, A, have a badass car and B, you, you're not going to freaking tree me because I've been, I've been chopping this crap down all day long. So, if you win, you're going to earn it because I'm pretty effing good myself, and that's a pretty good feeling to have like in your heart and know that like anytime you pull up into the beams, you have a chance to turn on a win light, and that's real. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to add on to her stuff because she has great. So it was kind of inspiring to us to hear, and when she started doing this, at our local track, she had a younger girl. Was she 13, 14 maybe? And just being a female racer out there, just knocking it down with the boys, going up against some of the fastest guys. I think like I was always jealous because there's she's on a 1320 video. She's got kids coming up and getting autographs. I'm like, what about me? I mean, it's so cool to see that. But she had a young fan that came up and was like, I have a car, but I was always kind of scared to get into it. And her being in her car and out there doing that inspired her to do that. And I think that's ultimately what this is all about. And especially with her doing what she's doing. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we're bringing introverts out of their shell, like one person at a time, and it's it's not scary. Everyone here is rooting you on. It turns out, which is kind of cool because you're even competing against these people, but they still you get done with a pass and they'll be in your pit, like, oh man, that was so cool. Like you treed me and then we were side by side and it was super cool. And then you end up in the bracket race. And I mean, talk about Caleb Dorn, like Caleb Dorn won that crap.
Yeah.
And as a young gun, shows up, wins the entire bracket race and takes all that stuff back to South Dakota. That's a gangster ass thing to beat. You think about how many years and years and years of experience of racing that cat beat throughout that day. And I think it was 7 rounds or 8 rounds. Like you got to be on your stuff to win an 8-round bracket race. And I mean, a young gun won that thing and in a front wheel drive car to boot. That was pretty cool. Very unconventional, but I was happy to see as soon as he won. And what was cool is a ton of the young guns were down there cheering him on in that same exact time, in the finals. And he's got a bunch of his brand new friends that he didn't know, hours prior or days prior. And now you've A, got a cheering section, but B, you got best friends built in. And now you see these people a couple of times a year and bang, built in, having some fun, which, like I said, there's not very many places you can do that. And it's a very cool deal to be a part of.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're 2 hours in. It goes like that, doesn't
Awesome.
it? It's crazy how quick that goes. But I'm gonna call it a day. I'm gonna call it a night. It was super cool. I really enjoyed hanging out and learned a little bit more about you guys. And like I said, Danny, from us meeting and you not killing me, that was a big plus.
Yeah.
And here we are years and years and years later, drag and driving pretty much nonstop since, which is cool. And then, thank you for marrying Makayla's mom and bringing her along to do a bunch of this stuff. And, like I said, passing that torch on and, no pressure, but, it's on you. Keep this crap moving because we're going to need it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much.
Thanks for having us on. I said thanks for having us on. This is awesome, and
absolutely,
kind of share the insight. We work hard every day, and we spend whatever little money we have to upgrade, and we're just happy that and huge shout out to you and Matt and June for doing this and giving us a spot to play and awesome guys like you to bring all of us together and really feel at home with anybody, whether it's fastest guy on the property or just an average Joe. So we appreciate all you guys and what you do for the sport and continue to do. So
yeah, man, totally. And really it all goes to Matt and June. Like without them, none of this happens. And I just I'm just excited to be able to talk to my friends about my friends. Like I a lot of people at Six Summer were asking me like, what's what is this job like? Because this is all I'm doing now. And that's what I said. I was like, it's really the best job ever because I'm talking to my friends about my friends. And that's all I do here. And it's a cool deal to kind of, like we were talking beforehand, like dig in a little bit and, get more than that 5 minute, in the first 3 minutes is how the drive went. Like we, kind of digging in and seeing, what makes you guys tick and why you're idiots, really. I mean, when it comes down to it, like why you guys are also morons and now poor for the rest of your lives. And just like me, it's, here we go. It's misery loves company for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, I'm going to bring you in the background real quick, say goodbye to everybody and I'll bring you back on and thank you again. But, again, thank you guys for coming on. Thanks for being patient. I'm kind of working through my, I know you guys wanted to be on. You want to be on a long time. So I'm working through all my stuff. And the timing worked out perfect. You guys get the pre-Rocky Mountain Race Week spot, which is super cool. So if you guys are going to make it out to a Rocky Mountain Race Week, if you're anywhere near one of these venues, you need to make it out and watch this stuff. And you can watch Danny and Makayla make passes and in their street cars. So it's going to be cool. And Mocan is a new track for me. This year, so I'm looking forward to that a ton.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. We're excited.
Heck yes. Well, guys, like I said, I'm going to bring in the background, say goodbye to everybody. I'll bring you right back up in a bit here.
Bye, guys.
Awesome. Man, how awesome was that? I love this podcast. This is so much fun. That's Cool Drink Tuesday night. We're coming to an end here. 2 hours just goes like that. And I appreciate all you guys, hanging in there and watching this deal. And maybe it's just in the background playing while you're working on your stuff and getting ready for Rocky Mountain Race Week. However you watch it, however you absorb this stuff, even if it's after the fact. Thank you so much for supporting this deal. Make sure you pass this stuff around, share it around to your folks. Let them know that, man, I'm doing some cool stuff here, and I really think I am. So let people know, pass it around. If you have someone that you really, really, really want to see on this deal, shoot me a message. I will reach out to them and I'll see if I can get them on. But really sticking with a lot of the kind of grassroots type folks because that's what I am. I'm a regular dude with a regular car. I really try to keep them in the forefront because it's more attainable for a dude at home that has a 67 Chevelle just chilling in his garage, and you could buy Danny's setup pretty much from Summit. So get yourself a 67 Chevelle. If you don't have one, shove a single turbo WLS in it, and you can go bottom nines and go rub elbows with famous people on drag and drives. And that's the key. Or if you've got a third gen sitting in your garage, take all the TBI junk off of it and throw it in the garbage and put a carburetor and a 406 on it. And guess what? It goes 12 O's with an 18-year-old girl behind the wheel with pink hair. That's the stuff that we can do. Like, you've got a third gen sitting in your garage right now. Put a 406 in it, bring it on some sort of a drag and drive. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. This has been so much fun. We're doing some good stuff here. We're having a blast. Check out real quick before you leave. Make sure you check out the Aztec 200. That was so much fun. Absolutely so much fun. It's a 3-episode deal. The final episode's 45 minutes. Chad Reynolds and I are the hosts for the deal. It's got Derek Beery, Tony Angelo, Alex Taylor, and Tate Morgan from the Gambler 500 racing Pontiac Aztecs in the desert in Tucson, Arizona. And if you think that sounds stupid and amazing all at the same time, you are right, because it is. But check it out. It's very cool. Hopefully, though, they will invite me back next year, despite the comments on YouTube saying I'm the worst commentator ever. But I keep getting signed checks and you don't, so shut up. No, that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys so much. Pass this stuff around. That's Cool Drink will be off next week. Obviously, we're on Rocky Mountain Race Week. I have a ton coming up. I will be racing at Thunder Valley in Marion the 6th and 7th. I've got Cruise Night in Kearney. We'll be announcing July 19th and 20th for the Rocky Mountain Stick Shifters. They got Funny Car Chaos and some cool small tire like gangster heads up stuff. August, I am at the Fastest Street Car Shootout, Earlville, Iowa. That's the Havlik race. That is going to be so much fun. I get to announce with Al Tucci, all the OG Fastest Street Cars. Talk about meeting your heroes. Like, these are the dudes in like 92, 93, 94 that had big tire blown alcohol cars, and kind of what the bad Colorado Bad Outlaws was sort of built on. But these cats had like mid 8-second cars when Pro Stock was running mid 8 seconds. So these, like, at the time had the gangsteriest cars, and these were all heavy door slammer type cars that just like brute power made down the quarter mile. So that's going to be an awesome race. And then the Hot Rod Revival is August 16th and 8th through 18th in Julesburg, and I'm going to be racing in that one as well. Maybe with 2 cars at a couple of these events. The Malibu is getting very, very close. It actually runs. It's good. I've just been spending a lot of time on the Cadillac getting it ready. But lots and lots of cool stuff. And then September is going to be nuts. Tons of stuff. I'll update folks as we kind of get closer. But the big highlight is going to be Race Week. All new tracks for me. Well, other than Ennis. Ennis is going to be, I think we go to Ennis. I think. I don't know. I'd have to look. But I think it's all new tracks for me. Texas and Louisiana in September. It's going to be hot. It's going to be stupid. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be gangster. It's going to be hard. That's what Race Week does. Here we go. Let's make it happen. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in again. That's Cool Drink Tuesday night on the 18th. Off next week. I'll be back in the following week. I don't have anyone set up just yet, but I got to get through Race Week first. So let's get that done. Rocky Mountain Race Week kicks off Tulsa on Sunday. All that'll happen on Bang Shift. You will get to hear my voice. I'm sorry, you're welcome. That said, episode 44 of That's Cool Drink. We are done. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you on Rocky Mountain Race Week next week. Talk to you guys soon.